All right, everybody, welcome to the recap. It is Tuesday afternoon on September 22nd, about 45 minutes to an hour after the market closed. And again, just to give everybody a quick rundown, you can go to tradingeducationblogs.com, click on the word blogs, and you'll find a full recap of everything that we have right now that we're going to discuss. Because actually, Mary, we get a lot of emails where people are like, "Oh, you guys went quick in the video, and there was a bigger list you said." So essentially, this is what you do: you go to the blog. Go to the website, click on blogs, and you'll usually see the one by Marion. That's what you look for, and the one by myself. So you click on that, and this is what we're going to get into right now. So I guess we'll start out, if you don't mind, Marion. Fourth doji in a row,
Yes.
and 2 days in a row where we got the direction right. We obviously gapped down. It was really just a question of how much follow through we're going to get after that. But again, after all is said and done, I'm saying exactly what I said at this time yesterday: 6.5 hours worth of trading, and it closed where it opened.
Right. And look it's all wicks from the last 4 days.
Yep. So the direction itself is starting to play itself out. What I am a little curious about, to see how you feel about it. Now, we had mentioned it a little bit in the morning, and I guess we could just run down here quickly. And I'm going to skip ahead to that, and I'll come back to this. This part here, we actually mentioned in the meeting this morning that the amount of stocks in the long scans increased to the largest number. Again, not necessarily meaning to be long, but the stock market scans are getting back to normal. And then you start to cycle through some of the list of stocks that technically should have rolled over and didn't. We have retail, Kohl's, Target, which actually closed on the highs, pretty much. How do you read that? Well, like, there's some stocks that should have rolled over, didn't. They're actually closing strong. I kind of feel like there's something going on that we don't know about. And again, I don't want to get all into the whole them type of thing,
Right,
but
right. The conspiracy theories.
I don't want to imply that at all. But price action, and even again, somebody in the Facebook group today had commented on that. It just seems like something's going on that's not obvious right now. Because, and again, veteran traders saying how frustrating the market is. It's one thing for new traders to say, I can't get a grip. I can't understand what's going on, and maybe I'm just not seeing something. And again, I wrote yesterday, I feel very strongly that most of that's just based on the fact that you don't have a strategy. But this is a tough tape. Look, there is absolutely something to do. There's absolutely stocks that followed through for us today. But I can't stress enough, and again, we talk about it quite often, you have to be very picky in this market, and you have to be super, super disciplined. And I'll say something like that: be super disciplined, and I'll get somebody on the blog to or an email to say, well, I'm always disciplined. Come on, nobody's always disciplined. There's trades where you take you kind of the terminology you and I have to each other, we talk ourselves into a trade or something like that.
Right. Yeah. We invent trades. I'm really good at inventing trades when I'm bored.
Right. And let's face it, sometimes the market, can do this and trade and bail you out of it. Sometimes you can put on one of those mediocre trades and the market does this out of nowhere, and then you go home and you say, see, I knew it. And that's the only time you remember that happens. You don't remember the fact that if you would have shorted a weak stock instead of getting cute, 9 times out of 10, or whatever the number is, being short is the right play, and you just happen to get one of these. It's kind of like averaging into a position. It's the wrong thing to do, and one time it bails you out because you have more shares down at the worst price possible, and it comes back, and you're like, oh, the next time I'll do the same thing and it'll bail me out. Then it doesn't, and then one of these days happen, and you short and you blow your account out.
Right.
So to make a long point longer, we're not in a market right now where you can expect the market to bail you out of a good trade. There are certain tapes where everything's going in one direction. You can maybe not get the perfect entry or that kind of stuff. We are not in that tape right now. And if you're frustrated right now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with scaling back or even being in cash until the picture clears itself up. Now, absolutely some clean moves, and we'll talk about Adobe a little bit because this has been in the list for a couple of days now, and you get a move like that for 3 days in a row. So you can't say there's nothing to do at all, but you have to work your list, and you have to be okay with being a little pickier.
Right. I definitely agree with you. I think there's something to do every day, but you have to do your homework And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. They'd like to make the $1,000 in 9 minutes, every day, like some of the emails promise.
Yep.
But that's not reality.
Oh, I agree. Look, I know when you log in the morning, because we both basically log into the blog at the same time in the morning, just to give everybody an idea how much work you need to put in to produce, you know, this, enough stuff where it's like you really feel like you're going into the day. And the same thing with Marion's blog. And this actually has a point. I'm not just doing this. There's a lot of work that goes in there to have a certain conviction level. If you want to get to the point where you're going into the market every day and you say to yourself, I expect to make money because I'm prepared, this is what it takes. And this is all stuff that's raw. This isn't like copy and pasted from someplace else. This is you going in, digging out the work, and you're coming up with what you believe are the best trading ideas. So again, our job is to help you be prepared through us with some of the concepts that we do, and then you ultimately adapt them to yourself. I'm not saying you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning like we do, or necessarily start the day before or whatnot, but you have to put the time in to look at that list and say, all right, I can work that keyboard as hard as I can between 9:30 and 9:50 and find the good ideas. And you find some of these because it's in your list. So
right,
again,
and it's not that hard because we've already done the initial work for you. So just make sure all you do is need to go to Pete's blog and get his scans that he's already done. You don't even need to scan.
Yep. It takes a couple of hours. And that's the thing too, Mary, is there's literally an explanation there of why it's in there. So it's bearish ideas, has an average true range that gives volatility, has a certain amount of liquidity and a certain price. So I'm literally giving you the criteria there. I'm not giving you the exact criteria, but that's what it is. Weak stock, weak close. Okay, so you can expect follow through. Strong stock, weak close. So stock that's in a rally has pulled back, so probably in a bear flag. So go through there. And actually the one of the interesting ones today was the 20-day breakout, and we'll actually get into that in a second with Humana and I forgot which other one it was. I highlighted it, but essentially what I'm saying, and you worded it very, very well there, Marion. People don't want to hear so much when they get into trading about the hard work. They hear about the hours and all that is absolutely, of course, it's sexy. It's why we all want to get into it, but you have to put in your 10,000 hours. And if it's not 10,000 hours, you still have to get in there and dig it out. So this is the market that we were looking at yesterday at the end of the day. And we actually literally said it looks deceiving because everything looks like it was up and had a good day today, other than this one little pocket. So that was the SPY at the end of the day. And, again, here's the joke that I had made, that we basically opened up and closed at the same place. 3 dojis heading into today, and yesterday basically not much going on. So basically the way we called it this morning, inside day in the spiders. So all of yesterday's price action was surrounded or inside the previous day. Light volume sets up a trend day. And in this case here, we were looking for a trend day, and we got the gap lower as of 7 o'clock in the morning. First support was low from, I think, roughly 7 days ago. We'll take a look at that. And again, there's a lot more scans on the long side. Not saying it meant long, but maybe the charts are starting to get normal again. Now, here's what we end with today. I know your Facebook took it on the chin a little bit today, like a lot of other stocks. It's been holding up above that 95. I guess, kind of what we had mentioned in this morning's meeting was it just seemed like the macro picture was taking a little bit of a hold on the big picture to where the short selling would be a little bit more broad-based today, and that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, I would definitely say selling was much more broad-based today.
If you look at even the last couple of days, like Facebook and UA and a couple of other ones, they were holding up. Today is just the tide was just a little bit too much. Now, the interesting thing to me was the move in the afternoon for the last few hours of the day. This area here, you would be expecting us to flag here, 2 o'clock, 2:15, and roll over and head down, and we didn't. So it's interesting to see if the short sellers just stepped aside and they're waiting for a better spot to sell short, or if buyers came in and said, all right, how much more am I going to look on this below $200 in the SPY? And 2 weeks from now, if it's at 212, what am I going to be pissed off at myself? I personally, based on what I saw during the day, I still believe we're short selling. I still believe that we're going down. What I don't like, I guess this is to add a conviction level to that to the context of that. I don't like that we're not closing on the lows. To me, that's a little strange. I understand yesterday's inside action. I get it. We sold off hard 2 days in a row. I get that. Even though we gapped down today, we almost traded back to the highs.
Right. But you know what the thing is? I know you're concerned we're not closing on the lows, but we're not closing on the highs either.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, maybe I'm just reading the intraday too much. When, like
right.
yesterday, we had said that it was a little deceiving. So maybe this close is a little bit deceiving because we did trade this far and didn't retrace it.
Right, exactly.
So what anything in particular stand out to you today while you were at the keyboard?
You know what I find today was I usually can find things to trade, and I'll usually mention what I've traded today and on what side. I found it extremely difficult because you today there was no clear picture in any of the stocks I was following. I
So
did very little today.
so let's
And that's what I'm taking away from today in our doji is that there's not clarity in the market. And even though I have to say, I mean, almost every day I trade at least, I trade. And today I found it much more difficult to find any conviction in anything I got into, either on either side.
So I gave, basically my take on how somebody who's struggling right now should handle it. Let's say you're working in a room with a trader who's got a well-funded account, they're listening, they're willing to listen, or whoever's listening to this right now and they're struggling. Again, we want to turn a trading recap into maybe helping with the way they're looking at the market and whatnot. How would you address somebody saying, I'm just not seeing it right now?
Okay, I will say I'm not either. And I think I'm pretty good at picking out pivot points and signals of where to get in and where to get out. And I wasn't seeing anything that was clear today. I was willing to, the stocks I believed were shorts, I was willing to get into short and I was willing to get into long down in where it looked like they were going to get long. There wasn't a point. I did not see a real signal. Put up Facebook because this is one stock that I tend to be, and I still think it's a long.
Well, now it's right at the 20 and the 50. Those guys are almost at exactly the same price right now. We've had that 95.25 level, give or take, as a level. So it's 91.22 to 95.25, basically, and kind of back in there. I mean, and again, if you look just, again, reading the tape, or whatever you want to call it, look at all these days in a row where there was institutional support, was holding above the bid. Every reason in the world to even think that this might have been an inside day today. And it just finally cracked a little bit. So I think tomorrow is going to be a pretty interesting day. I wouldn't be surprised if we go sideways again. 4 days of indecision. Again, if we just go back to the SPY real quick. Everybody who's calling me, texting me, Facebooking me, it doesn't make a difference. I'm telling everybody the same thing, and I'm not sure if everybody's understanding it. I'm telling everybody I'm in day trading mode right now.
Right.
I don't have a longer term
See
picture.
it, don't do it. Because you know what? It doesn't matter if you didn't make any money. I didn't make any money today. I'll admit it.
Yep.
Because if you can't see it, don't do it because you don't have any conviction then. Only take the trades that you can have a conviction on. And I really did want to find places to buy things and to sell some others. I really did not. And some things I did not. I wasn't looking at the right charts maybe too. So, but there wasn't really a lot to do. And I was scanning through charts right and left.
Yep. Me
And
too.
not really finding a lot.
Me too. All right, so getting into just wrapping up on the individual stocks that we had in the list today, you can see there was some pockets of opportunity. We obviously just showed you the chart of Adobe 3 days in a row now. So it's very, it's difficult to say there's nothing to do. I mean, this is one of this, and actually that was an interesting thing too, if you don't mind. When you see stocks in my list, if you go to the blog every day and you see the same stock in multiple lists, like Adobe's here in 2 different lists, that means that there's different scans pulling up the same idea. There's something to do in that stock, and now it's 3 days in a row from low to high base. Well, this day pulled back a little bit with the rest of the tape, but that was the news last week. But that's got to be in your radar. Very similar to what we're talking about, the short sale and win every day.
Right.
UNH was another one that came up in multiple scans. And again, we're just focusing right now on the fact there was a long coming into the day and what it did out of the gate. So regardless of what happened after this, if you are prepared on the open, that's $2 in the first half hour, 40 minutes. All right. Now, we're not saying this after the fact. It was in the long list.
Right.
Okay, so you got to be ready. If you have them in your list and you work that list in the morning, you should know. Now, also, this is important here, too, if you don't mind if I take a second, Marion.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Net change and change from today's open. So most of these stocks will have a net change of negative coming into today. But if you have net change coming into the day, but you want to be long. Now, again, the net change is from yesterday's close to today's open, so that's going to be red on the gap down today. But if you come into the day, again, wanting to be long certain stocks, and again, UNH was the one we're talking about here, you are now sorting this list after the bell rings. It's 9:30 and 1 second by what's positive from today's open, which that's today's open down here. So now out of all, again, I just put the down here just to give everybody an example of how this works. Out of all the possible stocks, again, if you had 25 stocks that were long coming into the day, this is one of the stocks that was positive right out of the gate from the open for the whole day. So you could filter 25 stocks off of your list and maybe have 4 that meet that criteria in the first 2 hours of the day. That's how you're prepared for the day. And if you get extra juice, where change from the close and change from the open and the hourly is positive, now you have an even better list because maybe more stocks meet that criteria. So I just want to make sure, we want to make sure that the it's not a recap of the market. It's a recap of how you could have traded and how to prepare for tomorrow. I think there's a big difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So Humana was another one that was on that list. And again, this one was actually negative from the open, but then in the middle of the day, it actually caught a bid. And NAT, which was a 20-day breakout trade, you can see here, actually took out the previous day. And look at the consistency. That's what we're talking about. See, I think this is a good example, Marion, of what we're not seeing in most stocks. And that's the price action that gives you clarity to feel like you're reading the tape, a push-up, a flag, a push-up. And you can sink your teeth into these green days because, quote unquote, the stock is doing what it's supposed to do. And I guess if it's not doing that, you have to recognize that too. Because if you know what it's supposed to look like, you have to understand what it doesn't look like.
Right, exactly. I think that's really important.
So some inside days. A lot of the inside days were taken off the board today because of the gap down. Normally an inside day, you'd like to see it open flat and then push off of where it opened. A lot of these stocks were out of play right out of the gate because they gapped out and kind of had choppy type days. And then the bearish trades as well. A lot of the trades, regardless in this list, they were pushing down into support or gap down, pushed down for the first 90 minutes, and then kind of went sideways or drifted higher. So not really, unbelievably, not really any great short sale follow-through trades today from the list because most of them did their average true range out of the gate, maybe had one more push down, and then kind of went sideways and drifted higher. So I feel like there's been opportunity. There's absolutely been opportunity. Again, if I was managing a room like I've done in the past and I had a lot of people in the room with me, and they're asking me to help them get through this challenging tape that we're in right now, I'll be honest with you, Marion, I'd be telling everybody in the room, cut your share size back until the tape clears up. I would say, look, I get it.
Really, I definitely, and I mean, work the keyboards. I didn't even find those 4 stocks, and I was going through my list upon list, and I did see UNH, but I thought there was resistance, and I wasn't going to get enough. I wasn't going to get enough for how much money I was laying out.
Yep, I can see that because a lower opening is still technically inside the previous day's trading range.
So I was afraid I was going to be laying out money for not much reward. And so I always balance risk and reward. So I did not get into it.
Okay. I hope that's actually an awesome way to end the meeting because the lesson that she just gave us is very, very important because she's basically weighing, is it worth putting the trade on? Not is it a good signal? Not that didn't even factor into the beginning. Is it worth putting the trade on before I even look at it?
Right, exactly. How much money can I get out of this? At what point do I find resistance on a very weak day? Yep. I'm looking really counter to the market. So something's already weighed against me. So my thought is that the resistance up there is going to be more powerful today than it was any other day. So I opted out of it.
Okay, that's a good example. All right, let's call it a day for today. Hope everybody got some value out of today's meeting. Looking forward to seeing some more of you in the both the pre-market meeting as well as in the live trading room. So far, for the feedback that we've got, the videos are definitely giving them a better idea of what we actually do in the meetings and as well when the market's open. So it's nice to see some people gravitating over. For those of you that don't, what are you waiting for, man?
Yeah, come on over, visit us.
Exactly. All right, Marion, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. Have an awesome night.
Okay, you too, Pete. Bye.
Bye-bye.